friends, it's Diane, the Creative Inkster. Today is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. Can you believe it? The month is flying by. We're almost at mid-month. It's crazy, totally crazy. But that's the way life is as you get older, isn't it? It goes by so quickly. So welcome. Thanks for being here with me. Please leave me a comment to let me know that you're watching live. And if you are watching the video, and if you're watching the replay, leave me a comment. I love to connect with you. I'm looking at my screen and I'm like, something looks different in the way this, every once in a while when you log into Facebook to do something, it changes and I can't keep up with the technology, so I kind of have to go with the flow, which is the only way to be. And I just noticed the comments piece is all set up a little bit differently, but that's okay. No problem, we'll figure it out. I can certainly see comments. I see Vicky saying, hi Diane, so thank you. Awesome, thanks for being here. So tonight I'm going to show you how to use a couple of different products. I'm going to just tell a little preamble story here. So for gifts for my team, those who bought the starter kit and joined my team, I ordered them these bone folders from Stampin' Up, the Stampin' Up logo bone folders in our catalog, and I had their names engraved on there. So this is mine, and this was the test one. So the engraver, there's a little chip out of this edge. Well, it's not a chip, I guess it's just an indentation on where the machine holds it, I guess. No problem. I have a bunch of them, and that was fine to use one for mine. But I had all their names put on them, so everybody got one, which is kind of cool. And I wanted to give them in a cute little holder to give here. And so I'm going to show you how to make this holder. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for being here. I just think it's really super easy and cute. And we can talk about the kinds of things you could slide in here. Now, you could definitely make this any width that you want. And I'm going to show you how I use this punch called the handmade tag punch to create the topper at the top of this. And this measures 1 3/4 of an inch wide. So I'm going to show you how to make that. And these little tags here, so we have this set of tags called the tailor-made tags. There's 10 dies. So these are 4 different sizes and 2 different shapes. So the way this one is here, the edge is a little more scalloped, if you will, or a little more decorative, and this one's more cut off on the edges, but they're all stitched and they nest, so you can add different layers of ones. I've done them where I've done white and stamped on it, and the next one behind is a cardstock and so on. But it has a beautiful stitched detail on it there. And this stamp set you may not be familiar with unless you're a demonstrator. It's a demonstrator only product called Let's Create Together. It's a great one for your team, and it's $16. It's on our supply list, so if you're a demonstrator and you're watching and you didn't know you could get such a thing, it's really awesome. I use it for welcome to our team, welcome to the Stampin' Up family, that kind of thing, and I really like it. It also has the copyright Stampin' Up as a stamp. It's photopolymer too, so you can tell I use the welcome one so much more. But the copyright Stampin' Up is what, if you're selling your cards, because all of the products are copyright, we need to put that on the back of our cards. So anyhow, I digress. So let's get into making this and sharing some tips and tricks and things like that. So I will just tuck that over there. We need a paper trimmer. Right, here we go. And we're going to take a piece of fresh freesia cardstock. And I mentioned it's 1 3/4 inches wide by 11. So when I started trying to measure it out when I was making them and doing things like, oh, I wonder if I should have it shorter, and I thought I'm just going to go with the 11-inch. Perfect for what I want to do. And start thinking about what we could put in here. I have one idea, and that is you can actually turn this into a bookmark, right? It works with if the tag was a little bit different, if it was completely this way or that. Or you could slide something in here like a fancy nail file. So let me know in the comments what you think we could slide in there easily enough. It's glued down, so it doesn't have a lot of depth to it here in what you could fit in, but doesn't mean we couldn't redesign it later on. So 1 3/4 by 11, and we're going to score it at, where's my notes? Score it at 4 inches. And that's just what's perfect for this particular application. So on the end where it's scored at 4 inches down, put that in at the bottom, and it's the edge at the top that we're going to scallop. All right, so we're going to get that punch out. It's called the handmade tag punch. And with our punches, this one's like equidistant all the way around, I guess you'd say, or symmetrical entirely. If you punched it out, you would get something that would be squares with bumpy edges or on a diamond sort of shape. But you can take the end, so I'm taking the end where the long part is, so the 4-inch score is there. So I'm going to stick this back in the punch. So this kind of works with your punches if, you can put it in any one, if your paper is thinner than the width of the punch opening. So I'm going to stick it here. Now I can push it all the way through, and you can see what I'm trying to do here, but I don't want to cut all of it off. I just want to punch it. So I'm going to leave the cardstock lined up with the edge of the punch here, and I'm just taking a peek through the top of it to see that the cardstock is evenly placed between those sharp little edges there, and that's going to let me know that it's straight. And then I'm just going to punch it, and that's the piece that comes out, and that's the edge. So you can use this punch, which is for a label, and make a cute little tag topper. Now I can do the same thing at the other end. I didn't do it on mine, but I could certainly do it on the other end. So let's do that just for fun, because I've got all these made for everybody. So again, we just take the end, which is 1 3/4 inches wide, feed it back into the punch. Instead of as you'd come into the punch this way, you're going in from the top and pushing it out. I pushed it a few times so the paper is a little dog-eared at the end. There we go. And we're just going to push it so that it comes out the end and slide it back to be flush. And then we're looking to see that this is even top to bottom. And there we go. We have another end. So what you could do is make a longer label by using this cute, handy little trick, right? If you needed a label and you wanted it to have scalloped edges on both, and you needed it wider than the opening of the punch, then you could just slide the other piece in. So other ways to use your punches. So we're going to fold up on the score line. I'm going to grab my bone folder, my one that's in use, that gets a lot of use. And then I've got a piece of pattern paper I'm going to stick on here that is 3 3/4 by 1 1/2. So because my tag is 1 3/4 wide, I made this 1 1/2, and then I'm going to cut this at 3 3/4, and then that's going to fit on here. But now that I've done this cute little scalloped edge, I can do two things. I can either trim this down so that it fits within this space without the scallop, or I could scallop edge and do an extra layer. So let's do that. So I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the other piece. This is 1 1/2 wide, whereas the cardstock was 1 3/4. I'm going to slide it through so I can see the end coming out, feed it back to the edge, and now I'm looking to line it up, and I'm just going to squeeze it to hold it. I'm looking to line it up so that I've got an equal amount is going to be cut off. That's how I'll know it's in the center. I hope that makes sense. All right, and so there we go. We have our cute little scalloped edge, and that can go here, and because it's that little bit smaller, oh, look at that. I didn't even have to trim the bottom at all. Fits in perfectly. All right, let's glue this guy down. Look at that, changing on the fly. I love it. I love using my punches and dies in new and different ways. It just means that you have so much value for your money when you've invested in a punch or a set of dies. You want to get the most out of them. Okay, so then to seal this down, my first way that I did this was with tear and tape, and I found that it didn't want to stay closed once I had the bone folder in there. It was pushing it against it, right? So I went with liquid glue, and then I put some paper clips to hold it in place while it dried. So I'm going to just use a little liquid glue right now just to finish this off and make it go quickly for the video. I think I grabbed the wrong one. I have 2 liquid glues on the go. One has a little more in it and not quite so much gunk in the end as it gets. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little thin bead down the left and right of the short side, and then fold it over. You can use your bone folder. It might squish out a little bit. That's okay. It happens. All right. And so there's that piece there. So I would want to let that sit overnight to dry. Maybe put some, if I was putting another bone folder in, and put some paper clips or something to hold it in place. Now I want to show you what I did with the tags. So like I mentioned, I used the TaylorMade Tags kit set, which are really, really cute and very versatile. I love the stitching on them. And I did some coloring. So this stamp, we have stamps in the Stampin' Up line that will allow you to color it into. So I think this time maybe, can I use the love? I'll use the love this time. Love what you do. What I had done with this one, if you're a demonstrator, is thanks and for being on my team are 2 separate stamps. So I just put them close together on the block. I didn't even have to, I just butted the 2 ends up together and it just turned out perfectly. So I have a tag already pre-cut here, and I'll put love what you do. There we go. And you'll notice I'm going to be coloring it, and I'm using regular classic ink, which is gray granite. I love this color for background of it. It's very neutral. It's not dark like you get with black, and it's not gray, so it's just kind of in between. And I'm using my Stampin' Write markers, so not the Stampin' Blends, but the water-based Stampin' Write markers. And the 2 colors I've chosen are the colors that are in the paper, or 2 of the colors in the paper, Petal Pink and Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to color this in. So I don't have as many letters, of course, with just one 4-letter word here, love. But I'm going to alternate the colors anyway, instead of thanks, where I could, you saw the difference between the words a little more. And we do have 2 ends on our Stampin' Write markers. We have the thick brush end, which you'll see the brush on the edge of the marker, but you also see a wider line. On this end, you'll see a thin line and a 0.5 millimeter nub edge. This I rarely use personally. I just don't find that I use these ones too much. I guess you could use them for very thin areas or for writing. I almost always use the brush end. That's just the way I roll. And it works for me. So I don't pull my Stampin' Write markers out enough. I have them in all the colors. I tend to use the Stampin' Blends a fair bit, but this works perfectly. So love what you do. And I've got some linen thread, and I have a little tip for you with linen thread. So our linen thread used to, years ago, come on a piece of cardboard that was probably about 6 inches wide, and so you had a good strip before it had a kink in it or a fold in it. When it's on a roll like this, it tends to come off quite kinky. So to straighten it out, you want to take your bone folder, oopsie, and you just want to run it down the edge of it. So almost the opposite, and I'm kind of straightening it out and making it straight. And see how it just takes those kinks out? It's kind of the opposite of how you would take that curly ribbon and use the edge of your scissors. Remember how we would do that with packages? I don't know, maybe you still do it. And you would like and pull it on your scissors, and then that would make it all curly. This helps straighten it out. So I'm actually going to tie it through the tag. Well, one thing about these TaylorMade tags, number one, you get 10 dies for $30. That is a great deal. They're nesting, and you can work with them and make them different sizes as well. by doing, by die cutting them separately, and that's just a whole other video. But they also have the little, which I don't use a lot, I guess because I'm more of a fast crafter, but they come with these pieces here. So it's one die with 4 circles, and that would go on this one, and it's so that you can make on the tag an extra little opening that goes on here that makes it look like it's folded over. And so there's a D shape, if you will, on this one, and then there's the circular shape. So yeah, that's just like an extra thing that you might not think of. All right, here we go. We've got our coloring done. We're ready to put this on. Just a couple of quick dimensionals. You want to keep those in the middle. So have you thought of anything? What could we put in here? A very thin chocolate, I'm thinking. I like the idea of a bookmark. I don't know. We'll have to think about that. Think that through, but what else we want to stick in there. Like I mentioned, you may want to let this dry overnight. But I'm going to, oh, that's my old messy one. That's not a new one. Here we go. Here's my newer bone folder with my name on it, which is handy. So now when we get together and they're all hanging out and they bring their little toolkits to our meeting, they've got their name on it. They're not going to get mixed up, and it's laser printed. So when the logo wears off, because it does, this is all laser imprinted. So that's a cute little treat holder for What's Up Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed that and can use those tips and ideas that I've shared with you. Thanks for watching. You have a wonderful week. I will see you on Monday. Oh, fancy nail file. Exactly. You know, you can get those really nice ones, or I really want to get one of those glass ones, and you could slide that in. But if you were giving it as a little gift to somebody, like, it's just so kind of cute, like, right? Just another little thing to put in. So keep the ideas coming. Thanks again, guys. Take it easy. Bye for now.